Welcome to another Off the Record Real Talk for Regulated Leaders. Hey, Michelle, how are you doing today?
Hey, Jayna. I'm super awesome. How are you?
Fantastic. I know that we just chat a minute ago, and I'm really excited about our talk today because I just bought a new tool and I thought, let's talk about what it is and the power behind it. And so, those who are watching on video might be able to see me hold these really cool things up, and those who aren't will be able to hear me in just a minute. But these are tuning forks, and I just got into these. They came in just the other day, and I'm really excited about these tuning forks because it gets me into deeper into the world of healing through sound and frequency. And I know, Michelle, you're into that too. So tell me a little bit about what you think about tuning forks.
Well, first off, I don't have my tuning forks because I let my mom borrow them. So that's awesome, though, because it's a testament to the power of these tuning forks. Specifically, I got into tuning forks after listening to a really great podcast about this woman who was actually able to map out the human biofield, that is a human aura,
Yeah.
using tuning forks, and even find where all the chakras are in the human biofield, where there's baggage in the human biofield. She was even able to map out where the different planets are, like what your yes. So, how you are imprinted at the time of your birth with your astrological everything, and finding all of that within the human biofield, which
Okay.
I found so fascinating. I'm already into music. Anyone who's watching on video can see I've got a tattoo. It is of musical notes. It is the song that my husband and I, sorry, I'm the one who walked down the aisle, not him. I mean, I guess he did too, sort of. But it's the song that I walked down the aisle to during our wedding, Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers. We designed them and got them on our first year anniversary. So I always am getting questions. Are you a musician? Are you a musician? And the answer is yes. Yes, I'm a musician. And I'm so passionate about music already, and just layering into there the power of music and frequency to heal just makes it, to me, the ultimate thing. I think one of Cliff's cousins is an audiologist,
Okay.
and she says that anytime she asks somebody if they would rather lose their hearing or their sight, most people would say they want to lose their hearing. And I told her, no, absolutely not. I can't imagine my life without music. Just for
Mhm.
everything that you can do with music, it's a part of who I am. So when you said you got the tuning forks and you wanted to talk about this today, I'm like, yes, let's do it. Let's talk about, the power of the tuning forks, and what you can do with them. And I know we're both still learning, and we
Yes.
thought we could have a lot of fun by actually learning with everyone in the audience about these tuning forks, about the different frequencies. I can talk about the tuning fork that I have, and I don't know much else other than about my specific tuning fork, which is called the sonic slider. And that's
Yeah.
who created it. That's the woman who I listened to in the podcast. Her name is Eileen McCusick. And the specific tuning fork that I have is a weighted tuning fork. So I know you have a weighted tuning fork. So if you want to hold one of those up so people know what it looks like, they have those little knobs at the end. And the reason that I wanted the sonic slider is because it's a very good general feel good sort of tuning fork that you use on your physical body. And when you when you strike it, you don't hear a noise. So anybody or it's a very very subtle one, but it's not really, you'll hear the difference here when she strikes one of the other ones. But what you can do is you feel the vibration going through the fork, and you can place it on your body, and it's just a magical experience. We're literally just talking about how do we help people understand through just this video and voice the power of how this makes you feel instant shift in how you're feeling just by putting this on your body. And anyone who's watching Jada can just see her expressions as she is doing a great job of demonstrating, and just you can see the physiological shift as she's putting this on different areas of her body. The
This
one
one
that I
specifically is
Mhm.
256 hertz. What was
Okay.
yours?
So mine is tuned to the Schumann resonance. I believe it's the 12th harmonic of the Schumann resonance. What does that mean? I don't know what the 12th harmonic of the Schumann resonance is. I don't know the math behind it. I know the Schumann resonance. What's really cool about the Schumann resonance is that they say it's like the Earth's heartbeat.
Oh, I
It
love
is
this
like
one.
all of the lightning strikes that hit the earth all over the world create this frequency. And when we're outside, we get to connect with it. And the story that Eileen tells in her book is that whenever they sent astronauts up to space, NASA, they would get sick and they didn't understand why. And then they figured out, I wonder if it's the magnetic field. I wonder if it's this resonance. And as soon as they started emitting that on the aircraft, that sickness went away. So this is very based and grounded in science. It's not just, oh my gosh, I'm a woo woo and I like these tuning
Yes.
forks and it like this is used by NASA with astronauts so that they can maintain the amount of time that they're up in space.
Yeah.
That's
I
what the
mean,
Schumann resonance is anyway.
I look at it these 2 when
Mhm.
you just look at even the most basic person can see a video where they play the resonance at either
Mhm.
whatever hertz this is, which is how they measure the frequency, right?
Mhm.
They whatever hertz it is, you can see it either through water or sand. Like you can see it forming
Mm.
these
Mhm.
different structures. And as the hertz in the sound changes, those frequencies change, those shapes also change. And so it's literally creating alignment right in front of us. It's taking
Mhm.
chaos, just sand, and it's turning it into this aligned, picturesque, like it's almost like a sequence that works perfectly. So I look at it and like, why can't that help my atoms become more aligned? If I'm feeling chaotic, whether that's just mentally, I feel like that's something I read a lot about using these for the sound component is like when you actually ding them together, they each will create their own frequency. So this is 128 and 512. And so I hold them on either sides of my head and I get 2 different frequencies, which met a really fantastic energy healer recently who uses music for all of her work. She was explaining to me, I can't remember what it's called, but if you put 2 different frequencies, it's kind of like binaural beats you may
Yeah.
have heard of. 2 different frequencies in each ear creates a third frequency in the mind, which can help you rewire the neurons faster. And I was like, oh, well, that's awesome. So let's use
Definitely.
that. That's
Yes.
part of why I thought I'd buy these so that I could start to introduce this into my own practice to see, okay, cool. When I'm stressed out, if I sit down for 3 to 5 minutes and just ding and listen and ding and listen, how can I help my nervous system calm down with this simple tool? I also was reading about, like you were talking about, getting it with the weights, which mine is
Mhm.
awesome because I actually can take the weights off and put
Mhm.
them back on. So I can choose, do I want the sound or do I want the feeling? And like you said, I've had these for maybe 36 hours and I'm already geeking out over them because you just whack it on your hand and stick it on your head. And it's almost like your whole forehead is just whoom, 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 and it's just amazing. It
Yeah.
instantaneously calms me down. And I don't know how to argue against it, right? You can't. There's so much science already supporting it. These are more what they would call new age science. This isn't in the woo woo land. People who are more from the spiritual side of the fence, where they're more shamanic and stuff, they don't really do tuning forks. They do
Mhm.
other forms of healing with music and sound. This is super, I guess, super new isn't the way to put that, but this is new age science. And I love to see it because it's something that I feel like is something most people are going to find tangible because you can literally feel it in the
You
moment.
can.
And if you
Mhm.
have pain, say you have like shoulder pain, you can use it and you can find the right frequency, which each frequency has a different purpose. We are not so fluent on that. So we're going to look that up
Mhm.
together today. We're going to
Yeah.
learn together. But you essentially can just, you whack this either on your hand or on a mallet, and then you just place it around points around where the pain is. And it's my understanding you like start far away and you spiral your way in towards the pain. And then what that does is it'll help those atoms kind of balance out and align. I'm trying to use simple terms here. I'm not going scientific with it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's really going to help just get that inflammation out of there. Everything that's kind of
Mhm.
gunked up, and think of it as being stale or stuck. We're just
Mhm.
moving that energy around. We're just helping it move through and out of the body. And so I'm excited to see more about how it works. I'm excited to see if it's something that I can incorporate into my evening to help create that environment. I know I'm going to bring it into the rooms where I'm helping people with meditations. And because sound is just such a beautiful way to add another layer to that experience. And so I'm really
Yeah.
excited about this because I
It's
already know that
easy.
music heals. So,
Yeah, it's easy, it's effective, it's enjoyable. I'd love to share some of the stories that I have around the experiences I had. I started using it in December. And
okay.
the one that I have, I wish I had it with me, and we'll just use our imagination at the very end of it, at the very tip of, where you're placing it on your body. It has an accessory that you can add so that it just compounds some of the sound and adds surface area.
Yes.
And so I started using mine and using it pretty religiously all over my body. And then all of a sudden, a few days after using it, I noticed these red spots all over my body. And I
Mm,
was like, oh my gosh. At first, I was like, is it something I ate? Did I do something? And I remembered I had been using this tuning fork. These vibrations were bringing up all of the stagnated blood, all of the
mm,
stagnation in the body and helping you to flush it out. Just like when you do cupping, or if
yeah.
anyone's ever done a foam roller or any sort of
Mhm.
myofascial release, the same thing happens. This was happening, but it didn't hurt. It wasn't unpleasant in any way. It was super, super easy to do. And so I started becoming more familiar with the different types of attachments and the different styles. That's why my mom has mine right now, because she had one with a specific attachment. And I bought her one. I said, I think this one's going to be beneficial to you. She'd gotten used to the mine with a specific attachment. She's like, no, I want this one. I was like, that's fine. And she came to me just a few days ago. She's like, Michelle, you were right. I can see why I needed the one now. Like, there's specific times when you want different types of attachments to make it easier for you to use it, especially when you're talking about the weighted forks on your body,
Yes.
because of how it can make it easier to use. And so she's using it right now because she's been going through like some issues with sciatica, and she had some myofascial release, got a huge bruise, and she's using it to help her circulate that, to get all of that out of her system more quickly. I have a neighbor down the street who is, I wouldn't say he's into this stuff, and he's experienced breakthrough session work with me and other sort of work. So he's like, I'm going to try anything at this point that you
Yeah.
give me, because everything you've done so far has worked. He got a tattoo after our breakthrough session because it was such a profound experience for him that he got it, a memory of that forever. And so I gave him this tuning fork after he had a hip surgery. And I can never, like, I will always remember going to his house, and I was just like, by the way, I brought you this. I hit the tuning fork, I put it on his heart center, and he all of a sudden just goes, and it was like he went into this
Mm.
catatonic like state instantly. And he didn't even notice it. But his wife was there. And I was like, whoa, did you see that shift? She was like, yes. It was amazing. It was like, use this for the pain. And he told me, I'm pretty sure this is helping me recover more quickly. Like,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it works. I finally got it back from him. I was like, oh no, is he going to give it back? And that was someone, again, who's definitely not into this sort of thing. He works in the construction industry. I mean, definitely more of a physical sort of guy. And if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And let's explore more about, I'm so excited to learn about the different frequencies. This is something I've been wanting to look into for a while now.
Yeah. And I think it's so important too to say that, like,
Mhm.
we don't have to have the tuning forks to get this value, right? You and I both know that there's work that you can do starting with just the mind to be able to get these same results. And I also have friends and clients who will say, Jane, I'm trying to do all that inner work. I've done all the things you've said. I still have this hip pain. I know it's not physical. I know that it's emotional. And what else can I do? And I was like, well, you can get some tuning forks because all
Yes.
it's doing, all it is it's stuck energy. And
Mhm.
so, yes, she could do the tuning forks because you can either go from the inside out or the outside in,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Tuning forks
I'm
is
glad
just
you
a way of
mentioned that.
speeding up the process. It's
Yeah.
just, yes, your body can heal on its own. And this is just helping. It's like adding, maybe kind of like I wouldn't say, I don't know, my mind goes to knee brace, although it's not bracing anything. It's truly
No.
helping you heal at a cellular level.
It's
Um,
moving the energy around. The way that I've heard it described that really helped it click for me is it's a form of biofeedback for your body.
mm,
So whenever you're using the unweighted forks, it allows your body to hear its own field.
mm.
And I was actually the demo subject on Mother's Day. I was at an event where Eileen was, and I was selected to be a surrogate for the entire, I think there was maybe, I don't know, 200 people in the audience. She was looking for someone very specific. She said they have to have right shoulder pain and they have to be okay with being a surrogate. My hand went up. I was like, what? I didn't even notice my hand going up. Like
Your right hand went up
it was
too.
my right hand. Yes, because I'm right-handed. And I said yes to both instantly. And she started hitting those tuning forks, and you could hear the specific areas, the quality of the sound would go really like sharp, like
Mhm.
just a completely different quality of sound when she would hit some sort of baggage issue. And so the body is able to hear itself. You hear it and the body's like, oh, there's something here. Let's use this vibration to move that around now and heal it. And it was so awesome. I had audience members later on approaching me and telling me all sorts of things. One of them told me that she was pretty sure that she was approached by one of my ancestors who was helping her. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Like I want to know more. Another woman told me she worked in the medical industry, and she's like, it's wild because I could see up there the more she was working on you, your body was shifting and it was completely unconscious. I was tranced out the entire time because I was, channeling a lot of healing energy for myself in the group. I went bye bye. And she's like, you were such a great demo subject because everyone could see the shift in your physiological body. And then she shared that she's been using tuning forks for years in the medical field, but not in the same way. She's like, I've been using these to get people's reflexes, just to test their
Oh,
reflexes. And we use these all the time. And never did it occur to me, nor did I know the powerful tool that I actually had at my disposal that I hadn't used. And another thing that it can do is, so it does this biofeedback. It also can help with scars. Now, I haven't done this myself. I
okay.
haven't done this yet. I'm eager to try it. And what it does is scar tissue. It's just like what you're saying. It's an energy blockage at the
Yeah.
physical body level. And so when you take two tuning forks and it's like you're knitting and you hit them and you would want them to be the weighted ones
Oh,
and then you use them together at the site of wherever you have a scar, it allows the current of energy to pass through there again so
okay.
that it encourages that healing so that the scar is no longer there. It breaks it up and then there's free flow of energy again. So cool. I want to
Okay.
try that.
I'm over here just gonna put this weight
You're
back
like, I'm
on
going to
here.
do this.
I'm like,
I'm doing this today.
well,
Yes,
I mean, this is just so intriguing
it
to
is.
me. And, like, let's look into these frequencies
Mhm.
and what they are. I know I asked ChatGPT at one point to help me out with this. So let's see if I can pull that up. Here are the results that it gave me.
I didn't realize how excited I was going to be about this topic.
I
I'm
can tell.
literally sweating. I'm like, oh my goodness. I hope no one can see how much I'm sweating right now. I got so excited.
Okay. We are showing cool. This is my Notion screen you're seeing here. So here are the different ones that I have right now.
Mhm.
So I have the 128. That's this one that I'm putting the weights back onto at the moment. 128. So this is supposedly the grounding frequency. This one correlates to the root and bones.
Ooh.
Okay, so that'd be interesting. The effect is deep grounding, stability, and physical repair. So I guess this is the one I would use for physical pain.
Yeah.
Used commonly placed on bones like sternum or spine or joints to stimulate bone healing and pain relief. Energetic signature anchors you into the body, reduces anxiety, connects you to the earth energy. Fun fact: many osteophonic tuning forks applied directly to the body are in this range.
Interesting. I don't know
Things
what
we
that is.
learn.
Yeah.
It's like a very heavy compared to the other ones. You could see it's longer if you're watching on
Mhm.
YouTube. You could see it's much, much, much longer than the ones that are in the 500. So the lower the number, the bigger the tuning fork and the lower the frequency, I think. Is that right?
Lower the frequency,
Lower the
which makes
frequency.
sense because physically speaking, the lowest vibration, the densest vibration is that of the physical matter and of the earth, the root.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
So this one is probably going to stay weighted mostly. It does make a really cool sound when you ding it, but like we'll leave the weights on for now. Then we've got which next? 256. 256 hertz. So foundational frequency. This one
Ooh.
is the body's chakra is the root and sacral chakra. The effects are balancing, centering, and foundational clarity. Used often considered as a part of just innotation C. Don't know what that means. Do you know what that means, Michelle? Just innotation C?
Just intonation C. I'm wondering if that means it corresponds to the note C, like the
Potentially.
chord C,
Probably.
which
You're
makes
probably
sense
correct.
because that is the starting chord, and that's what it says, the baseline for many harmonic scales. So it's
Love
probably
it.
what it is.
Probably is. It
It's one
sounds
of
like a
the
C to me.
mhm.
Okay, sets a baseline for many harmonic scales. That makes sense. C is where it starts. You are correct. Energetic signature encourages feelings of safety, self trust, and regulation. Great for emotional grounding after dysregulating experience. Therapeutic note sometimes used to stimulate cellular healing and boost vitality. So, another one that could be really great multi purpose is probably going to be one I use quite a bit with my clients. I tend to regulate people, tend to help them with safety and self trust. So this sounds like a pretty all purpose tool for me there. Next one we have is 512. 512, the expansion frequency. So this
Ooh.
one is the higher heart and throat chakras. The effect is to open up communication. And so opening up communication harmonizes with breath and enhances clarity. Cool. Can be used over the chest and throat area to support self expression and balance between giving and receiving. Energetic signature, think bridge builder. It helps to integrate the grounding body, lower frequencies, with the higher conscious upper chakras. Okay. Therapeutic note, known for producing a sense of equilibrium and helping harmonize the left and right brain hemispheres.
Ooh.
Interesting. 512, the love frequency. Is that right? No, 512 is the expansion frequency. So this is clarity, right and left brain harmonizing. Great. And then the last one that I have here is our 528. Ooh, the love
Oh, I
frequency.
love it.
Yeah, let's get a little bit of that ding going. Love it so much. The heart chakra, cellular repair, DNA repair, popular claim in sound healing. So it's just a claim. Don't come at me. Unconditional love and compassion. Uses very popular for emotional healing and trauma release. Good to know. Apply near the chest. It can evoke heat, tears, relief, and heart expansion. Ooh,
That makes sense because a lot of us have heart walls where we build up a wall to protect our heart, and that needs to be released at some point in order to fully open your heart.
yes.
Mhm.
Very popular fork. Okay, so energetic signature, renewal, forgiveness, spiritual awakening. and therapeutic note. Many practitioners use the 528 hertz for transformational healing sessions, especially in emotional regulation, grief, when a client is blocked in love and connection.
Mm.
Ooh, I'm going to have to take notes on these.
Yeah, I know. I'm over here taking notes as well.
You
I
better share
love.
that Google Doc with me because I feel like and here's one of the things I want to point out. I was just watching the first few YouTube University videos on on these because I buy it and I'm like, cool, how to use, and I just gonna
Yeah.
search it, right? So I'm like, someone teach me. And the one woman, she said, you can learn tuning forks from a lot of different people.
Mhm,
And like we've learned in the past with some of the places and people who teach us, there's no one school of thought that is true. And I think one of my favorite parts about her videos was that she said there are a lot of people who will give you a lot of rules around tuning forks.
mhm.
It was her belief that you should go in intuitively.
I
So
love it.
while these things are saying these frequencies are for certain parts, there is an intuitive nature to using any tool that you're adding into your modalities, whether it's for yourself or for a client, doesn't matter. The
Mhm,
intention is what matters the most because the
mhm,
intention stems from your belief. And if you believe, whether or not ChatGPT, because that's where this information came from, we know chat's not always right.
mhm.
Don't come at me. I'm disclosing. I use ChatGPT for these answers. But like, just because ChatGPT said that this one is good for love frequency, heart, whatever, if I'm feeling called to use something different, or that's all I have on me, or whatever, I think there is a realm of trust your intuition and go in with the intention to heal. And maybe that day you only have a single one with you and you can't choose from anything but that. But your intention's still for them to get the best
Mhm.
experience, to get the highest level of transformation out of the session. That's going to trump everything else that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Use what you have at your fingertips and as your disposal. And if you don't have any of these, you also don't need any of these. And I want to be sure that we talk about that because it's not a huge investment. I don't think yours might have been, Michelle. I don't know, but I got 4 of these plus mallets and all the little things that you need to go with it. And I don't think I spent over $100. So if you're comparing this to some people who go to like chiropractors on a regular basis to get rid of pain, then it might be worth doing. If you're just looking at this as a fun little side thing, you don't need it. You
Mm.
can do this with other things. Honestly, you can go to YouTube and type in 528 hertz and just listen to the
Oh,
audio
yes, the
and let
sound
that be
bowls.
your healing.
Mhm. I think you touched on the important thing that I always keep in mind anytime I'm doing anything for myself or someone else, whether I'm using a tuning fork or just doing an energy healing session with, the raw energy that we all have access to, and that is your intention is more important, and then allow the energy to do what it needs to do after you've set your intention. The way that I see using any sort of tool is as a helper. Let's just say
Mhm.
you've already added your intention and you're so powerful in and of itself, you don't realize just how powerful you are all just by yourself with that belief. And then
Yeah.
adding the tool is just like supercharging it. So let's just say you have one that is the heart one and it's the love frequency for the heart chakra, but you really need someone to feel safe and have self trust. And oh no, that's a different frequency. That's okay. You can still use it because your intention and then that extra energy from that is going to do what it needs to do. At least it will if you believe it, it will.
And I think
That's the
that
most
also
important thing.
it also goes to say that just because you have the right tuning fork doesn't mean you have the right intention. You're not going to get
Mhm,
the result, right?
mhm.
You must pair the tool with the intention. You can't just, mindlessly using it. You have to be very mindful when using these kind of tools. I
They're
also think
powerful.
Yeah, I also think
Mhm,
it's fun to explore beyond. So the tuning forks are a little bit more on like the sciencey side, right? There's a lot of research that goes into it nowadays, new science that's coming out constantly on these tuning forks. But before there were tuning forks available, we have had hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, where we have indigenous tribes who have used things like drums, who have used things like flutes, that have used things like rattles or chimes or anything I'm forgetting, bells. I know they use all sorts of things.
All of the things that they could possibly use, that they could create, that they could dream of to
Yeah.
create to make the sounds, which stemmed from before they had any of that, they had their voices.
Yeah.
And I remember learning at some point in music theory that the reason that instruments were created were to emulate the human voice, which
Ooh,
I thought was super beautiful. I
yeah.
never knew that that was the intention and purpose originally behind creating musical instruments, is how do I make this sound like a human voice?
That's
It's cool.
awesome. I love that.
Mhm.
And with that, we got all sorts of new things, which I also got new toys with that too. So I'm also excited to share that. And, we're learning about these on the fly because so here's part of what happened is a couple weeks back, I went to, you may have heard, I flew across the country in a crazy story to go celebrate a friend's 40th birthday. And I was only going from Florida to California and back to Florida within a less than 36-hour time frame. And while I was there, I got to meet this amazing woman who does a lot of healing and energy work utilizing music to be able to specifically heal people through music therapy. So I thought
Mhm.
it was resonating so much with me. I had been looking at these tuning forks and looking at these flutes and
Yes.
things for months.
Yes,
And
you
I
have.
finally was like, it is time. I also have scheduled the first live in person event on the land, on the property, to be able to bring people out for meditations and things. So I thought, why not? Oh, it was a perfect time to incorporate new tools, new sound things. And the best part about them is because I can play music on speakers, but there's something to the resonance of like the actual frequency. So one of the ones I got is this little, it's quite big. Actually, it reminds me of Zelda and like the little flute that he had. I don't know.
I love Zelda.
Whatever
It
that
also
was.
looks like the
Like,
heart containers when you get new
yes,
lives.
he he would like use it all the time. So that's kind of what it reminds me of. But like,
Mhm.
I just the regular tone of this is supposedly a G3. I don't know what that means, but it's supposed to be the frequency of the earth. I don't know. All I know, Michelle, is it
The
sounds
third
great.
harmonic of G, obviously, whatever
Obviously,
that
something of
means.
this nature. The point is, you don't need to know what you're doing. Just have fun doing it, right? The intention is to create
Mhm.
a space that's fun, that's inviting. I am doing my best to incorporate sounds that will mesh with Mother Nature.
Mhm.
I don't want to play things that are loud, that are going to disturb the natural animals that are in these areas, like things of that nature. I'm trying to work with nature, not against her, right? So using something like this and just doing any sounds. This is not going to sound great, but okay. Okay, cool. So we got like a small little scale
I
going
wanna
on.
get my hands on one of those.
I can't wait. It's so much fun. So this is just one type. I also had found this other, I think they call these a drone flute. So this is a F4 and it has two sides to the flute. One side is completely just F4, the way it is.
Mhm.
Sounds just like that always. And the second side is where you have your little finger holes and you can play the different notes. The beauty of what this sounds like is that first off, the birds love it. So they get like
Mhm.
really loud and they chirp along and like start to sing with you. It's really cool. But also, it sounds like there's two people playing flutes because there's
Mhm.
two chambers to this per se. So again, don't judge me on my having had this for 48 hours and having fun. But here's a little
Beautiful,
You know
beautiful.
what? We're going to get there. We're going to get there. The idea is I'm having fun and I'm incorporating these new things because look, flutes, drums. I've got little tongue drums. This was something I incorporated a couple retreats back. I have a little small one that can be held in a hand and played with your fingers. I have a bigger one that like sits on your lap and you can play it with mallets. The idea is every single one of these, whether it's a flute or whether it's a drum or whether it's a tuning fork, all emit frequency. They emit waves of energy because music is just that, and it moves through our body. And I know that music is healing from a dance perspective, like
Mhm.
songs music, and there's very much music can be felt in the body. So there are certain
Mhm.
people who like never cry, but then they'll hear a certain song and it
Mhm.
just brings a tear to their eye. And it's because there are certain notes that resonate in the body in a certain way that bring you to feel these emotions, right? And so these tuning forks, these flutes, these drums all just allow us to be able to get our bodies there faster because it's easier to mimic what you're already around or co-regulate with. So we're just
Mhm.
matching the frequency of the thing. And I just think it's so interesting how much I've been, maybe over the last 12 months, drawn to more, I don't know, native, I guess, is got cultural things that I am as white can
Ancient.
get. I don't even really know what my background is. I think it's Irish and German and whatever else white you just put in a bowl. So I really don't I really don't know that I have a lot of history with these things, but something's calling me to it. And it's really interesting to play with it. And I'm also dancing the line of doing my best to learn everything I can and respect these modalities and not do any form of cultural appropriation because it's like I want to respect where these flutes came from. And so I have done a little bit of learning about why and how they're created and all of these different aspects. And I feel like that's something that I also want to bring to the table is if you're looking at these different tools, be respectful of the tool and not just the
Mhm.
tool, but the history of the tool and take some time to get to know it. Because yes, these are plastic 3D printed flutes that I bought on through I think it was an Instagram ad or something. Like,
Mhm.
the least spiritual thing you could probably do. But you know what?
Mhm.
The idea is the intention is to be able to have this new modality that I can bring in an affordable way to new people. I want
Mhm.
people to be able to experience this. And not everybody can afford to go out and get some tuning forks. Not everybody can afford to go out and get and just pick up on an ad like that and buy something cool to add to their arsenal of things. Sometimes all we have to lean on is our voice. And like you said earlier, that's just enough because there's so much research just behind and that vibration. I'll throw this in here just for funsies, right?
Mhm.
But did you know that actually the vibration in your voice can help a female orgasm? Yeah, threw that one right in there. That was random, right? But the fact is, it's the same thing. It's taking your body to that peak frequency. And so humming has power, whether it's in the bedroom or whether it's in your spiritual world. Those
Mhm.
actually are not too far separated from
Oh,
each
no, they're
other.
not.
If you didn't, I know it seems left field for people who are like, whoa, where'd that come from? It's
That's
actually
another episode.
I know it is. It is. It will just seed that now. If you know me well enough, if you don't, hi, I'm Jayna Swan, and these are things I talk about. So, but the idea that we literally, with our voice, have a tool right here. You don't need a tuning fork. You are the tuning fork.
Mhm.
Isn't that so cool? I know you can talk so much more about this. So I'm about to get you all hyped up and then just like
Oh, man, I'm
send you
gonna
on
do
your
my
way
best
because
to,
we're
like,
all in
be
on
be more grounded with this one. I think was just the initial just the inspiration behind how powerful music is, and you mentioned humming earlier, and humming is so powerful. Did you know that if you were to just hum for 4 minutes, it would automatically get your system into the rest and digest?
Oh,
Mhm. Yes. It gets you into that mode just from humming. So sometimes I will be with my little one in the car and I will just say, "Hey, let's just hum." And I'll just set a little timer or look at the clock and we'll just have fun. Sometimes we'll hum little tunes. I have even read books that talk about how if you have an intention and you sing it, there's so much more power in singing the intention,
ooh,
which makes sense if you start thinking about chanting, which is
yeah,
one of the oldest forms of just connecting with something bigger than yourself. There's so
yeah.
many different lineages out there. I would say think about the Gregorian chanting, the Latin Gregorian chanting. You walk into a super old Catholic church and you hear these monks chanting and you instantly feel a shift in your body. You feel a shift in the environment. You know, you've just walked into something sacred and you can't explain how you know that. It's just in all of us to perceive, oh my gosh, this is just the most beautiful thing. So my grandmother, she I come from a line of people who do energy healing and all of this sort of stuff. So it makes really sense that I ended up into this. And she used to do what is called, I believe it's called biomagnetism, using different magnets to same sort of thing. How do you regulate? We're just magnetic creatures. We talked about this in another episode
Yep.
in about how we're magnetic and we're electric. And so this is before I was into any of this stuff. I was having some issues. I was going to chiropractors. I was going to doctors. They were putting me on meds. Nothing was working for this pain I was having in my body. Somebody finally was like, well, why don't you go see Abue? That's what we call my grandma is Abue in Spanish. And I was like, oh, I guess I should. I didn't even think about that. I'd never thought of her as someone who could help me. I just think of her as my grandma. So I'll never forget. She used to have this space and she laid me down on this table and she started, she explained everything to me and then she put on this music and I believe it was in Sanskrit, Hindi. I'm not sure what the appropriate word is for that language, and I freaking went bye bye. I had never had an experience like that. I just remember her putting some little magnets on my eyes, and then it's the first experience of trance I'd ever had in my life.
That's
And I just remember hearing the voices going over and over and over. Well, fast forward to earlier this year, I'm talking to my cousin who is she's probably 6 or 7 years younger than me. And I didn't know that she had also gone to see my grandmother. And she started talking about that same song. She's like, with that song, do you have it? Do you know the name of it? I was like, wait, you know the song too? She's like, I love it so much. I sing it as a lullaby for my kids. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So we helped my grandma. We're like, can you please help us find, she went and looked and she's like, is it this song? I put it on Apple Music. I look it up and the meaning of the song, of the words that are being chanted, and sure enough it is one of the most powerful chants there are
wow.
in that realm. And it has to do with like the creation. And I wrote it down somewhere. I don't have it on hand, and I'll see if I can put it in the show notes just as a link for anyone who's interested, because it's just very simple, like Om Mana da 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 da, but there's actual words that I don't remember. And the meaning behind it is just so profound that just listening to that one time for both her and I, it
Mhm.
stayed with us because it's primordial. It is ancient. It is timeless, because a lot of those ancient languages like Latin and like Sanskrit, they carry so much energy in them, especially because for a lot of them, I know that both Jane and I are initiated into Hawaiian lineage. Same
Mhm.
thing. The Hawaiian language only has 5 consonants. Is it five?
7, I think.
Seven? 7 consonants. Between 5 and 7 consonants.
Somewhere in there.
So a lot of words mean the same thing. They weren't as like with the English language, we've managed to give a very specific name to every single little thing,
Yeah.
and it that creates more separation,
Mhm.
versus if you have one word to describe something, it creates more unity. And because there's more unity, there's more energy behind the
Yeah.
language, behind the words. And there's a lot to do with the power of intention. So when you are hearing these ancient chants, whether it's the Gregorian, whether you ever get to hear Jane or I chanting in our Hawaiian lineage, or if it is this song that, I hope to share with everyone who's listening, that's why these are so powerful.
Mhm.
And they can create so much change. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Jayna.
Well, I think even just on a basic level, if you think about it, if I'm just speaking words out of my mouth, how much energy am I using?
Mhm.
Not very much. But
Mhm.
like if I start to sing or chant or yell, like if someone's approaching me
Mhm.
aggressively, I'm going to yell stop and I'm going to put my
Mhm.
hand out. They're going to feel that energy
Mhm.
so much more than if I just go stop. Sir,
Mhm.
stop walking towards me right now. He's gonna be more curious and like
I
coming.
think so.
What
He'd
were
be
you
like, "Why
saying?
aren't you
Because I
scared of
can't
me?"
hear you, and he's like gonna walk closer to me. It's not gonna get the effect I want, right?
Mhm.
So I think on a most basic level for anyone who doesn't understand the advanced concepts, totally cool. It's just like how much force are you using to get those words out of your mouth?
Mhm.
Also, when we speak without intention, we tend to stumble around. We tend to like not have clarity and conciseness. When you're chanting, when you're singing, it's like if you think about like belting your favorite song from the top of your lungs, you don't have to think about what's coming next. You already know. And you're in fact
Mm.
looking forward to that part. So you're pushing even harder and you're just singing at
You're in
the
the
top of
moment.
your lungs. Yes, and
Mhm.
that
You're
it's that
present.
presence, and
Mhm.
that presence plus the intention, plus the energy, plus then the words that come into play and play. So it's layers. And I think that's where it's like on the most basic level you can think about it. Belting your favorite song out on New Year's Eve with your best girlfriends is literally going to be just as powerful. So you also, on a side note, be very careful what songs you belt
I
out.
was thinking the same thing, like, it can be so powerful, and if you're saying words that are disempowering, then that's
Yeah.
what you're putting out there as your intention,
Yeah.
whether or not that's what you mean.
Gotta be really careful. That's
Mhm.
why, I was extremely intentional when it came to the retreat. We had
Mhm.
playlists. We did not stray from those playlists because
Mhm.
every lyric of every song had been gone through like
Mhm.
a fine-tooth comb to make sure they were positive intentions only. It was
Mhm.
only ever gonna like, 'cause music just plays in the background and people don't think much is happening, but your brain is picking up everything.
Mhm.
And if you're constantly taking in these lyrics, even on an unconscious or subconscious level, it's impacting you. You know, it's always funny to me when I get clients who are having really bad relationship struggles and or freshly out of a heartbreak. And I'm just like, cool, what kind of music are you listening
Yeah.
to right now?
Sad
Every time.
music.
Sad country music, breakup songs. I'm like, yeah, why? And they're like, because I'm in it. I want to feel it. I'm like, yeah, you're elongating your
You're
suffering.
anchoring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
literally elongating all of that suffering because those words were written from the intention of the writer, which was if you're listening to Taylor Swift, she's putting some hardcore stuff in there, right? Like she wants to hit home. And I
Mhm.
think there's something too, if you want to feel better, put better music on. Better yet, I think it was 3 years straight where I didn't listen to music without anything with words, unless I was out in public because I can't control
Mhm.
that. But
Mhm.
everything I listened to had no words. It was just frequencies, tones, it was classical music, it was piano, it was, even like the chill beats and stuff that you can get on YouTube, like anything, but just no words. And it was amazing because I didn't realize how much all of those songs were programming me. And
Mhm.
so there is something to that, right? You are anchoring those songs. Um, I've been going to these hip hop dance classes recently and I'm like getting it. And I'm like in class, like hooting and hollering, doing all the things. And I was like, oh, let me build a playlist so I can jam out my car so I can keep the choreography going and like remember this
Mhm.
stuff. I'm listening to the songs going, they're
These are
clearly
horrible.
using the non-explicit versions because oh I didn't realize this is what this song was about because there's so many
Yes.
bleeped out words. It has no lyrics.
Yeah.
It's just like a oh and it's like they're actually saying stuff in between that and it's quite aggressive. So I think I'll be going back to just listening in class to the non-explicit versions because I don't want to program myself with that.
Mhm.
Like even those songs, I'm very intentional walking into those classes and hearing the songs. I know that life isn't about big booties. But the amount of music that I hear
Sometimes
about
it's okay to listen to the big booties. You know what's it goes both ways because I can tell from old playlists, songs that I used to love and resonate with that I'm just like, dang, like it's not that I don't like it anymore. I can still remember having liking it, but it doesn't have this pull on me anymore. Because when you start getting rid of those frequencies and resonances within you, then you just no longer resonate with that sort of music. You don't crave listening to it. You will naturally want to listen to happier music. So if you want a really quick gauge into where you're at emotionally or mentally or spiritually, what type of music are you listening to that
Yeah.
you love? Is there a song that you just love? And if they're more on the negative, depressing side, that might be a clue. Because if you're listening to it, what do they say? Like attracts like.
Yep.
So if you're resonating with that song, it could be because you're literally having all of those problems within you. That's probably why you are called or drawn to it to some extent.
I
I
think there's
think.
also a layer
Mhm.
of, like, remembering there are some songs that just bring you that nostalgia.
Mhm.
So, like, there's that too, like, there's certain songs I
Sure.
listen to that bring me back to 13-year-old rebellious little Jayna, and I'm just, like, Linkin Parking
Yeah.
it out. I don't necessarily vibrate at that frequency, but it's still like the song because it
Sure.
associates to a positive memory in my past. So just be aware of, like, what's the difference between
Right.
nostalgia, positive association, and I'm actually vibing with this music. I think it's if the
Exactly.
lyrics, like, hit home, maybe goosies, like full body goosies. If you're getting
Mhm.
goosies while you're listening to something, you're really vibrating in alignment with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that you just reminded me of that we didn't talk about earlier is how music, the vibrations do get you vibrating at that frequency.
Mhm.
And it's the whole principle of if you hit one tuning fork, then everything else will start vibrating at the frequency of that tuning fork. Any instrument in the room, like a guitar, the strings will those strings will start vibrating to whatever tone that you hit the tuning fork. So that's really cool. We're made of water, so it also makes sense that we would
Yeah.
be impacted by all these different vibrations. Another way that you can use music that I don't think we talked about that I recently had an experience with is building rapport in that way as
Mhm.
well. It's a
Yeah.
really great way to bring people together. That's why dance parties are so fun and raves. I had a really unique, once in a lifetime kind of experience a few weeks ago when I was in San Diego for training. And my friend that I was staying with, it was one of her friend's birthday parties, and somebody started playing a drum set in the garage. So I was like, ooh, what's going on? Well, then somebody else picked up a bass guitar, and then somebody else picked up a guitar. And then I looked in the corner and I was like, and my friend looks at me, she's like, you should play the piano because they had keys there. So I was like, okay. And we started doing this improv session in the middle of, I mean, it wasn't that late or anything, but I didn't know these people very well aside from just having met them.
Yeah.
And we were just jamming out. I'd never done an improv sort of session. And it was indescribable, the feeling of everyone knew at the same time when we were going to build the momentum and when we were going to drop it again and shift into a new key. How do you explain that? If it's not energy and rapport and something bigger than who we actually are and the vibrations we were creating.
Yeah. I think that's just rapport and being so present in the moment that
Yes.
you can feel and being very kinesthetic too. A lot of
Yes.
music people are kinesthetic because
Yes.
they may not realize it, but they are because they're
Mhm.
feeling the frequency in their
Oh,
body, which is
yes.
why they're so connected to music. I love that. I also love the concept of frequency in a space, not just with music, but with just humans, right? So if
Mhm.
if for example, you could very much be going to a specific place, have a hobby or just a group of people you're always with, and it just feels like home.
Mm.
And then you do a lot of personal work, or maybe you change careers or get into a new relationship or something. And then you start to find that that space doesn't feel that way anymore. And then you start to maybe have drama come up, or you just disconnect with people, or you're just feeling angry or irritated when you're there. And what it is you are raising your frequency and they
Mhm.
are not. And so now you are feeling a disconnect from that frequency. And it's basically saying,
Dissonance.
like, either you change and you go somewhere else, or you're going to be sucked right back into that other frequency.
It's like when you're playing the two notes right next to each other and it's that dissonance and you're just like, oh, that does not sound good.
Yeah.
And we can't hear the vibrations that we're emitting at a spectrum. That's why we were talking earlier about how cool it is that you can hit a tuning fork and that allows your you to hear yourself, hear what you sound like. There's so many things that even though we can't see them, they still exist. So
Yeah.
I love that analogy of walking into a room and you're walking into some sort of harmony. And is it going to be your harmony or is it going to be disharmonious to you once you step into that room?
Yeah. And I think there is a level too of like people always talk in the rooms I'm in, the circles I'm in, creatives and entrepreneurs about leveling up, right?
Mm.
Leveling up. I want to
Mhm.
level up. Oh, I'm here on my mission to level up. It's like, what does that even mean?
To you,
Well,
yeah.
that's what it means is change your frequency. And part of leveling up or changing your frequency is going into new rooms, meeting new people, making new connections, getting to a higher level of frequency. Because just like we were saying that tuning forks and instruments and our voice can express a certain frequency plus intention to get a certain energy out, right? We very much the same thing happens in conversations. So the conversations that are happening in that room are setting a specific frequency. And it's almost like what comes to my mind is thinking of if you've ever seen the image of what Wi-Fi does in a space, it like
Mhm.
bounces off all of the walls. It radiates from one center and it bounces off all the walls to be able to spread Wi-Fi through a house. That's the same thing in any room.
Mhm.
Conversations are now spreading this frequency. And you ever notice like a room's like in a such a great state, everybody's happy, everything's awesome, and then one new person comes in and everything feels weird, tension or just glances from across the room or what? It's because that person came in either with a lower frequency or a higher frequency. A lower frequency might cause disturbances and people get upset or whatever happens. A higher frequency maybe draws attention. Maybe everybody kind of flocks to that person. But what happens then? Does the whole room elevate to that person's frequency, or does that person have to lower their frequency to match everyone else? And look, we don't have to lower our frequencies. You can walk into a room of lower frequencies, just know it's going to be very uncomfortable.
It's yeah, you
That's
may
all we're
not
saying.
enjoy it. You may not enjoy it. It
No.
might give you the heebie-jeebies. You might be disinterested,
Yeah.
disconnected, or you may go in there and it's okay. And I know exactly what you're talking about. And
Mhm.
I'm sure anyone who's listening to this has experienced that just
Yeah.
because of the type of people I think would be interested in this type of conversation is probably already experienced that in their lives where they're elevating and they're noticing how incongruent they're feeling in their
Yeah.
environment. And that's an opportunity to take action. Like you said, sometimes it means you should be dealing with different people because that opens up the energy and the pathway for new things to come in so that you can begin vibrating at your frequency even more radiantly. So I
Yes.
think that's what everything is about. And when you talk about leveling up and leveling up and leveling up, man, I know I used to think leveling up was about the achievements that I made,
Mm.
especially when it came to my career, my business, because that's what we were programmed to believe. That's at least for me, the kind of schooling I went to was all based on did you meet these metrics? Did you check these boxes? Did you make this? That's why we're doing our best to produce different experiences for my son Leo and put him in a school that's more about quality and character development. And when you have the quality and the character development, then it doesn't matter what you achieve or don't achieve. It doesn't matter even how you get there. You're going to be solid and those things naturally start to come to you because like attracts like and this it just starts to become the laws that govern your universe because the laws of the universe are already governing you, whether you recognize it or not. Just like whether you recognize that hitting a tuning fork is going to make everything else resonate, or that it's a form of biofeedback for you as a human being to be able to feel the resonance, hear the resonance, or not, it still works.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things that we talked about was sharing some ways that you could bring these concepts into your life without having to go out and purchase. Like you
Yeah.
said a bunch of tuning forks or drums, unless you really want to because you're super into that and you love it. And one of the ways, the easiest way to do that is with your voice.
Mhm.
So we've already talked about humming. That was a really quick, easy way to do it. It's just humming, whether that's 4 minutes or more. More information just for people who are curious in this sort of thing about humming is I took a course once. It was all about the breath in the body and the shape of the breath in the body, how to use that to access deeper states of consciousness. But this was done from the point of view of a professional singer, like an opera sort of singer. So it's different than your normal breathwork classes, which are more about just raising consciousness on their own without that technical background. And she was talking about how you can use humming and the way that you hold your jaw to actually change the shape of your jaw.
Hmm.
That's how powerful, because if you think about it, you're producing these vibrations. It's vibrating everything, biofeedback. If there's something not right here. And there's a really great book called Breath that was an NPR 2020 book of the year. And they talk more, I can't remember if they talk about that humming, perhaps they do, but they talk about the different ways that you can hold your jaw
Mhm.
to change the shape of your jaw for people who have breathing issues. I have a background in that. I have a screws all in my face and a double jaw major reconstructive surgery, so that's why I know about this. And I was just blown away when I found out what, like, just with my own body not having to, because I paid for this surgery and I'm still paying for it was great. It saved my life. And wow, what if I had just known that and I had known this technique to begin with and known the power of my own breath and voice to
Good.
create changes. And there's some really cool before and after photos when it comes to that. So that's one way. The other way is I've actually been
Before you
delving
go
in.
on,
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious if the humming creates a vibration and helps with the lymph nodes that are here and like draining lymphatic drainage, and that's part of why
Sure.
the shape changes. Because you
I'm
can like,
sure it's a lot. I mean, there are devices out there that can grow bone in your jaw, which, yes, I know, it was just supposed to be impossible. And so, and I learned about that in the book as well. Just again, how powerful we are and how medical science has told us that certain things are impossible. And it's not, it, it's like, it's like a child saying that flying is impossible because they don't know yet that airplanes exist
yeah,
and that there is a technology and a way to figure out how to fly. So that's another conversation for another day. And I am positive it's the body's wisdom and intelligence that there's a combination of so many different things because you can use the tuning forks, specifically the one that I use. They do a challenge, and
okay.
in that challenge, one of the women, you should have seen the before and after pictures of, like, having the flappy skin here
Mhm.
in the neck area for those women who are watching who know about this, men too, I guess, and just using that tuning fork for, like, I think she was using it 45 minutes a day. The challenge was to use it 14 minutes a day,
Okay.
7 minutes in the morning, 7 minutes at night. This woman was like, had extra time. She ended up doing for 45 minutes a day, I think for maybe 3 weeks or something. The
You saying
before and
she was
after
do
pictures were
anything
staggering. The other way. So with the bottom of it. So take the bottom of it, yeah, like that, and then just going
while it
down
was vibrating and then just
while
kind of
it's
moved it
vibrating with the
lightly?
waiting fork. Which is
Oh.
how I was using the tuning fork to when I created all of those bumps, the blood vessels and everything in my body. You're like, I'm going to start doing this, which is when the attachments come in really handy because the different attachments can make that an even easier, smoother process. You're learning all sorts of things about sound. So yes, that does help move your lymph
Okay.
for sure, and tighten things up and just get everything that releases fascia. I mean, there's so many benefits. And you can also use your voice to access, let's just say you don't know the primordial chanting, the ancient chanting, which can bring down energy and connect you to just, something bigger than yourself. you can still use the sound because every single organ in your body, every single part of you has its own vibration. So that's part of how you can use tuning forks. You can also use your voice. So one of the classes I took was about finding out, learning what tone, and when I say tone, I shouldn't say tone, sound corresponds to what part of your body. So for example, I know I was sharing with you before the class that the class, our talk, that the sound B corresponds to your fascia. So why would you want to work on your fascia? Well, if you're really tight all the time, your fascia is what holds everything in place and can, like when it gets dehydrated, it crumples up, and that's when you get all the knots. Your fascias also, they're discovering, this isn't mainstream yet, but they're
Yeah.
discovering that your fascia is literally the network that runs through your entire body, that your electrical system, that your energy, your consciousness, everything goes through. And when
Yep.
there's knots in that, then you can't get the information into your body. I know, it's so amazing. So amazing. So you would want to know that you could just say, be, and you can feel it. I felt it in my entire body just doing it.
Yeah.
There's a difference between hearing someone do it, which is still going to help you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you just wanted to record yourself saying be and listen to that versus actually singing it when you're driving,
Is there
when
a
you're in the
certain
shower.
pitch you're hitting? Like, because beep, beep, beep,
Yes.
beep, like
So the different pitches, that's where what you were talking about earlier come in, and that is your intuition.
okay.
Where exactly do you feel that that B makes the most sense? Because B, just the sound B corresponds. But what if you brought it down lower into your body to your root
Mm,
chakra, and then you started singing be, and you feel it lower, you still feel it in your whole body, but the sound is coming from a different part of your body,
yeah.
which is fascinating because again, the class I took was also with people who are professional singers. So you're also learning more about, again, the shape of the breath. How do singers, these amazing individuals who know how to sing, use their body to create the different tones? Because
Yeah.
everyone's heard a singer and you hear them in one song and they sound a certain way, and then you hear them in a different song and they sound, it's like their voice, you know, it's still them, but it's so different. And
Yeah.
it's because they're using their whole body as an instrument to create these sounds. Now they're doing it to sing whatever it is they're singing. Now, what if you use that with intentionality, saying, I'm going to sing this tone for my fascia and I want it to be more towards my hips? All you do is set the intention, create the picture of what that sounds like, and it might be be, and then you feel it in that part of your body. Super fascinating. I'm trancing myself out a little bit
Yeah.
just by doing that, and I can tell I'm
I'm like
trancing
trying to
you
hold
out.
on. I
I can
am.
tell that you're tranced out too. Like we're on the same.
I love that we have that awareness.
Yeah,
I'm like,
like
okay,
that
come back to life,
collective.
Jane.
Wake back up. So being able to do that, you can learn the different sequences for the different tones. And then it comes back to, well, what's the tone for this and what's the tone for that? It's more, what tones come to mind for you?
Mm.
What if you were just sitting there and you were feeling a certain way? Oh, hold on. Please forgive me. My phone is going off. I don't know where it is. Oh, it's right here. Sorry.
Oh, good. You can't really hear it. So,
That's my alarm to go get my son. So I do have to leave here soon in about 10 minutes. But I'll wrap up my thought. And you can edit that out if you'd like.
no,
Or we
we're
can
raw
keep
and
it
real
in
here.
because
Yeah.
this is life. This is life. So, what was I saying? Can you remind me? Oh, yes. I remember now. What if you
Good.
just had something happen and you were like, oh no, this took my train of thought away and I'm dysregulated? And you just thought to yourself and you were just like, okay, la la la, boo goo doo fa wa.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure out what is the perfect sound and sequence that I need, just allow yourself to sing and play. And
Yeah.
how did I feel after that? I felt good. Felt better. I think you liked it too.
I do. I also like sitting here thinking about, like, truly when you're having those days where, like, everything's going wrong and you're just sitting in your car so dysregulated, sometimes it does feel nice just to be like, "Fuck you."
That is my favorite therapeutic word. Fuck you.
But that's
That
just so
is it Lily Allen? She sang that song. Did you ever hear that one?
no.
Fuck you very, very. I don't even remember it, but it's a. You should look it up.
All I have to
It's a
say, don't
song.
overthink it.
Yeah,
'Cause
don't
sometimes
overthink
a
it.
good a
That
good made up
said, I
song.
will share one that
Yes.
is for releasing fear. And I'm just going to share the tonality, like the actual sounds first, and share what they mean. So, wah is your foundation.
Okay.
Me is your small intestine. Go is your kidneys. Boo is your shoulders.
Okay.
Yaw is your heart. Even saying that it feels opening. And ha is your throat.
Okay.
So we've got wa, me, go, boo,
Ooh.
ya, ha. And this is a helpful one for releasing fear. Releasing fear. So you can say it, wa, me, go, boo, ya, ha. And then you can sing it however it feels good to you. Wa, me, go, boo, ya, ha. And you can sing it a different way. Wamigo booyah. You can scream it. You can cry it. You can do whatever you need in the moment. Just set the intention that this is helping me release fear. So I hope
Yeah.
that's helpful for anyone who's wanting to explore in a way that's really low cost, ease of use, easy friction, or frictionless, I should say.
Yeah. I love that. It's gonna be so easy to remember too because it's literally saying, "Watch me go booyah! Ha!"
I did not pick up on that, and I love
Every
that.
time you kept saying it, I
Yes!
was like,
Watch me go
"Wa
booyah.
mi go booyah!" Ha, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm literally
Releasing the
can't get my
fear.
brain to be serious right now."
No, but I
'Cause
I I saw that you had a little devious look in your eye, and I'm like, "I wonder what she's noticing that I haven't." That is freaking brilliant, actually.
well,
And
because
but isn't that awesome that it corresponds to language that we would already use? Like, "Watch me, watch me."
watch me go booyah and jump right off that hill even though I'm fearful. Like, you better be believing I'm gonna be chanting this right before I do something
Hell
scary and
yeah,
fearful.
hell yeah. So for everyone, watch me go booyah. Ha!
Watch me go
Make
booyah.
that be the new mantra of your what is it? Do it scared. Release
Absolutely.
the scared.
Oh, goodness. Well, Michelle, I did not I don't think I realized how much you were gonna geek out over this episode. I
I
just
don't think I
knew,
did either. I didn't know
like,
that was in me.
20 minutes before, because anyone who's listening, we do not plan these at all.
No.
We show up and we go, "Well, let's talk about this." Okay. And so I
Yeah,
literally, at 20 minutes before this, was like, "I just bought these new tuning forks, and I really wanna talk to Michelle about them. Let's do that on camera."
yeah.
And so all that to say, thank you, Michelle, for geeking out with us. I'm gonna hit
Yes.
these one more time, and
Thank
then we're
you.
gonna kind of wrap this up because everybody needs a little 528 and a little 512 in their life. So
Love it. Great way
awesome.
to
Thank you
wrap up.
guys for joining us for another Off the Record Real Talk for Regulated Leaders, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.